Hello people, this is Mark from Kharischangeworks. Guys, hope you are well. The information in this little video I truly believe is really important, and I really am going to urge you to take note of what's being said. And then using the principles that I'm going to indicate for you in this particular video, I want you to go out and consider other issues, not just the example that I'm going to give you, and see where you stand in the hierarchy of you. I want to talk to you about identity, or being able to identify. Spoke to Lara about this only last night for a short period of time. And as we were talking, I mentioned to her that because of both our marriages, because of the abuse and the high concentration of toxins within those marriages, it is easy for us to identify with people who are experiencing emotional trauma because of toxic relationships. And the identification doesn't necessarily come in the shape of we see it, albeit that we could observe behaviors. But it is more by what we hear, and probably more accurately, what is not said. But the message is loud and clear. And I think this is where a lot of people miss the toxic relationship impact on the victims, because they can't hear what's not being said. It is as if the ears are completely deaf to what's not being said. Now, when you train in therapy, counseling, that kind of stuff, it's, in my opinion, a very useful skill to listen to A, what's being said, and B, what's being meant. So, here's what I think, and I would like to hear your opinion on it also. Consider a cake. A cake is made of flour, eggs, milk, the batter, the chocolate or vanilla, whatever flavor it is. You mix it all together, put it in the oven, and you get the cake. And you put the icing on, and you would identify it as let's say a chocolate cake. So you see the end product. Cake, oh, cake. Nice, tasty, and it's good. When people speak to you, they will give you, in this example, chocolate cake information. And most people will digest, pardon the pun, the chocolate cake information. However, what will not be said is the ingredients that make up the chocolate cake. The eggs, the milk, the flour, the chocolate bits and icing and stuff like that. They won't say to you, oh, I'm in a toxic relationship and I'm being abused in this particular facet, and this is how it's impacting me, and this is how it's affecting my mental health, and this is how it's affecting my social status, and this is how it's affecting my self-esteem and my self-worth and my self-image, and this is how it's affecting... No, they won't tell you that, because there's a huge chance that the individual can't, not necessarily won't, but they can't verbalize that because they don't know. I know. So that is the one bit, is the identification is not just a chocolate cake, but when you've had the experience of this kind of abuse, and believe me, there are loads of people who are subject to this abuse and they don't even know it, and that's the key ingredient here, pardon the pun, is they will experience the eggs, the flour, the milk, the icing, the chocolate, but they can't verbalize it. But when you've experienced that and you've come out of it, like myself and Lara have, when we speak to people, we hear eggs, we hear flour, we hear chocolate sprinkles and baking powder, and we hear the trickle of salt here, and we hear the milk here, and we hear, because we identify with the ingredients that make up the chocolate cake of toxic abuse. If I can continue with that illustration. I want to say that as an example of what I want to say next. Now here's the next thing. And this is something that we discussed yesterday. Taking those principles which I've just said, apply it like this. If you're a person who's honest and you've got a major problem with, say, stealing, and someone comes into your social circles who thinks that stealing and robbing and that kind of thing is okay because that's their value, but it's not necessarily your value or values. When this person here, the thief, the robber, the deceitful one, let's just say, starts speaking to you in terms of it's okay to go into someone's garden and still take the bike or the bicycle or the flower pot over there, whatever the case might be, because it's okay for them, but for you, if you're sensitive to your own behaviors and your own awarenesses, you will quickly realize that there's just something that just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit comfortably. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't look good. I'm using all these modalities, so I'm trying to reach a wider audience here. But there's just something that goes against the grain. Because there's no identification within your core, congruent self based on your values and beliefs. But in this person here, it's okay. So there is no identification, this person with this person, based on stealing. Then of course we can look at lying and cheating and deceiving and bullying and all sorts of things. It is as if this person is speaking language A and this person only understands language B, in spite of being able to verbally hear the same words, but because there's no resonance in this person from this person's core values and beliefs, that transfer of information, somewhere there's a filter, there's something that mixes all the messages up, and when it eventually trickles through to this person here, you, it is as if they're speaking a foreign language. Likewise, when you then take all your values and beliefs and you send it over to them, that filter in the middle distorts for this person the information that you're trying to say and give over. And they don't understand, and then there's a mixed match. It doesn't work. And it doesn't matter what happens, you'll never agree, because the languages go like this instead of working in harmony. Very important. Now, I use that as an example. So when you go out into the world, your social circle world, and you interact with people, understand this. At some level, you and them identify. It might be politically, it might be religiously, it might be socially, it might be morally, psychologically, whatever the case might be. But there's a same value, same belief, language that is spoken by both parties, and there's a identification that takes place, and you feel at home, you feel at ease, you feel comfortable with those individuals. You've heard the phrase, we get on like a house of fire, we've just met. How's that possible? Both parties have identified with each other. Likewise, you meet someone and right from the get-go, you don't feel comfortable. You don't feel at ease. And yes, this person over here, they might be the nicest person in the world. They might be the most helpful, supportive, encouraging individual there is. But when there's no true identification, that filter will always expose that. And it takes hard work on both sides, I would suggest, to compromise on both sides to the point where you both agree what the mutual common interest is in terms of the relationship and where it's going. Because if one person then decides, actually, I'm not going to give my 100% to this relationship that might go places, business or platonic, it's going to go nowhere. You'll be running around in circles, but not on tarmac. It will be like treading mud. It's hard work. So, which relationships do you find easy to maintain? You met, you don't know how, you don't know where, you just met and you got on. Consider you've identified. Or you might know of people for years and years and years and years and years, and every time you speak to them it's like being spoken to by a cheese grater. There's something that gets taken away from you as they grate you because of their belief systems, their moral compass. That's all I want to say to you. Just consider the importance of identification and why you and them do or do not engage fluently in said relationships. It's an interesting one. I think it's really important that we understand who we are first as individuals, and how that becomes a datum line for who we accept or don't accept in our inner circles in society. What is that filter? What is that criteria that we use? The ingredients, like I said right in the beginning. What is the ingredients that we look for in other people in order for us to say, I identify with you or not? It's interesting. Even more so, it's important. Because let me tell you now, once you identify with someone, it would suggest that you agree with them. Because you identify. Otherwise, there would be no identification, no agreement, no relationship, no friendship, no nothing. Because of a mixed match in values and beliefs, convictions, call them whatever you like. But once you've established those things that are important to both, and you don't necessarily have to discuss it, you just know within yourself that this is a good person, or actually they are not good for me. Identification. Important stuff here. Who do you identify with and why? What is your criteria? What have you got that they like? What have they got that you like? Important questions. If you want to make a success in life, I think this is one of the fundamental building blocks in finding out who we are as individuals and why society is made up in the way that it is. Because not all houses are made from bricks and mortar. There it is. Just another little metaphor for you. There you go. I hope this little video has caused you to think like it's caused me to think about who I am as an individual. Where's my stance in life as far as me is concerned? And why is it that some people in my life, we just click? Like me and Lara, we've just clicked right from the beginning, 34 years plus now. And then there are other people that just cheese grate me all the time. So, whatever this video has done for you, please let us know in the comments box. Follow us on all the social media. Lara does a good job at distributing them all over the place. Please do all the YouTube admin. The like, the share, the subscribe, comments, hit the bell pickle. You already know what to do. For now, this is Mark from Kharischangeworks. I'll speak to you soon.